ready?
Yeah, let's go.
Middle of July, here we are on another Friday evening. We're going to beat the storm that's approaching. It's going to be here, so we'll hopefully get done. If the big raindrops start coming and you see us start diving, you'll know exactly what happened if Darcy doesn't edit it out.
Darcy, I tell you what, where would we be without Darcy?
Where would we be without Darcy? That is a great question.
Yes.
So like I said, it's the middle of July. We're kind of humping into halfway through the summer break for us teachers.
Yes.
And I was fortunate enough to get to spend some time out on the lake with my family today. 3 kids and 3 grandkids, so we spent some time out in Party Cove and and I got to do some swimming, and I got to watch and sit in the shade and put my feet up and have a very nice afternoon. So.
There was a lady on. It was on the New York Times, and she flipped open a picture. They have a bunch of graphics in the morning, and one was a shot of Rainy Lake, and this woman. She was frustrated because they couldn't get to her cabin in Canada.
Yes.
And she says, we live in the most beautiful place in the world. And so there you have it.
Enough said.
Yeah.
I can't go much more than that.
That does.
Where do you want to start?
You know, I was just thinking. You remember a guy named Sid Hartman?
Mr. 100?
Is he 100 years old?
He's going to be 100 years old.
Oh, he is amazing. Anyway, this is what his first quote was. But there is no doubt everybody around this club wants to start playing because it's the best lineup the Twins have ever had. They've got a week.
That's a big mouthful, considering that they won 2 World Series, and I know both the '87 team had a very poor record, and the '91 team I think ended up with 94 or 95 wins. Somebody out there will probably go check me on that. And tell me that I missed a little bit. And of course the 65 team went to the World Series and lost to the Dodgers, and of course they had some other division champs and some good teams. So to say this is the best team,
I think he was talking about this towards the end of last year. They were getting dingers right and left. They were really hitting the ball, and he is saying that although they have lost some of this clout, they have gained some clout as well.
Yes.
And so if there's some people that can all of a sudden, and if Mr. Cruz, if he has any cobwebs, I think he's going to be up for a real big season. The thing of it is, we got 60 games, 15 home, 20 home runs. You could be the home run champion.
Yeah, and I think the big thing is, how is the virus going to play out? Because Miguel finally just got cleared, I think yesterday or today, that he's cleared and he's all negative. Astudillo not cleared yet. But I think the big thing is, once these teams start traveling to other cities and other cities come in, where is the possibilities? Because this team obviously is very good and has a good chance to do just as much as any other team as far as winning a world championship.
And a 60 game, talk about a sprint.
Yeah.
And I mean, you could get 40 RBIs and 15 home runs and be up for the most valuable player. This is going to be quick. I think it might be kind of fun if they can pull it off. And we'll get into the virus a little bit later.
But the scary part about it is, teams can struggle at the beginning and have a great. In the old time, in regular years, could have a great June, July, August, or have a great July, August, September, and have a very poor April. You can't afford.
No.
You can't afford to do that. A couple of bad weeks, and you're going to find yourself out of the playoffs. And it's going to be exciting. They had an inter-squad scrimmage this afternoon that I didn't get a chance to watch, but the ball apparently was jumping off people's back because. I think I saw through like the 5th inning, they already had hit 3 or 4 home runs.
Yeah,
the 2 teams combined together. But yeah, it's going to be fun. And like I said, Donaldson is the big bat that came in that's supposed to make this lineup even more potent. Miguel wasn't even batting today. So there's lots of things. And if they can find enough pitching to stay in this hunt, and I think they will, it's going to be fun.
Yeah.
But we'll see how everything pans out.
No, it was brought up who's the big winner on this, and they came out. The Houston Astros are thus far the winners of the virus. No fans to boo. Only have 60 games. And the heat is off the Astros, or is it? Okay, Matt Snyder said the villain of the 2020 season, no doubt, was the villain of the 2020 season should not get out of being the villain. We shouldn't let this happen. Villains are always a fun inclusion. What would superhero movies be without them? The Astros are still our 2020 villains, even in the most unique baseball season. You know, and it's just it's. You take a look at the New York Yankees and some of the stuff that they did, and the Houston Astros. They say, "Oh, they really did a good job, but they cheated." And there's no doubt that they cheated, and it's you know, and so hey, I'm all for making them villains for a while.
I will say this: Tom Vollum talked me into being on a fantasy baseball league, and I've done this in the past. I've done the football fantasy, baseball fantasy, and I kind of got away from it because. Anyway, we had our draft earlier this week. Matter of fact, last Sunday night. And I had ample opportunity to draft Houston Astros onto my team.
And you didn't do it.
And I did not draft one Houston Astro, and I did not draft one New York Yankee onto my team.
He couldn't do that either, no.
There's obviously the reasons that George just talked about was the reason for that. I did manage to get, I think, 4 Twins onto my team, because here's how I look at it. If I got to cheer for somebody while, you know, so I can win for the week, I might as well watch the Twins at the same time, right? I might as well, that way I don't have to be checking. I know what's happening, so yeah, it was different. It was an interesting draft. We had a good time, and then we got to move on. So
there's a couple of rule changes. You can't spit, and you can't get in front of the umpire and argue with them.
Can't lick your fingers.
You know, you can't lick your fingers.
Now you're not even supposed to blow on your hand.
You can't blow in your hand. Stick them in your pocket if they said something like that. Anyway, and then they have extra inning rules. Now, I'm not quite sure just how that works out. You got any details on that one?
Did they decide to go with the extra inning rules? Because I know a lot of minor league teams, the leagues they play in, put a runner on second base.
Yeah.
And try to get a run manufactured and try to get the game over a little sooner. I wasn't sure if the major league guys had decided officially to do that.
Well, I'm not sure they have. I know they discussed
it to try to get the games so that so the amount of exposure wasn't there. To me, that's, can I say it this way? That's beer league softball rules.
Yes, it is.
That is not the way you take care of Major League Baseball games.
That's where they got it.
And of course, I'll be the first one to admit, when the NHL went to a 3-on-3 overtime, I thought it the same thing. It was gimmicky. I put it akin to putting a runner on second base.
The comparison's been made.
But the 3-on-3 overtime hockey is exciting. It is not going anywhere. Colleges are adapting it for regular season games. Don't bet that the high school teams aren't going to go to some form or fashion of it in the future. That's my feeling on it. Like I said, I thought it was gimmicky. I thought it was whatever. I have to admit, I love watching 3-on-3 hockey in overtime. It is super exciting. You can't turn your eyes away because it's only 5 minutes long, but it's 5 of the most exciting minutes of the game. No matter what happened in the game the rest of the time, it's awesome. So
what happened 30 years ago today?
30 years ago today, the Twins did something that only has happened once ever. And they turned 2 triple plays at Fenway Park against the Red Sox. One in the 4th inning, one in the 8th inning. Gaetti to Newman to Herbeck. And I did my homework this morning as well.
Yes, you did. Yeah.
And they, they talk about it, that Herbeck said this in the Minneapolis paper today. If the New York Yankees had done that, that thing would be on TV every time they turn a triple play. Well, nobody's ever turned 2 of them like the Yankees did. But because the Twins did it,
they also talked about when they turned the second one, they really didn't think about it, and they went back down there, and all of a sudden at the end of the game and the next day they realized that this was something pretty special. And it's just, when you talk about Gaetti, Newman, and Herbeck, that's as good around the horn as you're going to get.
And the scary part about that is I didn't realize Tom Brunansky hit into one of those was playing for the Red Sox at the time, the former Twin, when he was on with the '87 Twins when they won the World Series, and he would hit into one of the triple plays. So I had not realized that, but that's pretty cool to think that that happened, and the Twins. Like I said, one of the few records in baseball that only has been done once.
Yeah. No.
And Herbig said nobody will ever break it. And he kind of got me back, and then I started thinking about it. Think about turning 3 triple plays. Just think of the odds of getting 2 or 3 runners on base with nobody out.
Just the situation.
Just to get into that situation for the possibility, and then you got to hit the ground ball to the third baseman.
It's got to be perfect.
Almost always, doesn't have to always. Baseball purists. But yeah, it's interesting.
It was very interesting.
Yeah, so the Twins open next Friday at Chicago, the White Sox, and they play 3 games there, and then they come home to take on the St. Louis Cardinals at Target Field. And so I'd like to think that next Friday night I will have my butt in a chair in front of the TV to watch that. But who knows? We'll see what happens.
But it's going to happen. It's going to happen fairly quickly. And we're going to know about all this stuff. Your future is going to be ironed out in terms of coaching, and a lot of things are going to come down.
Well, you make mention of it. I'll follow suit. North Dakota High School Athletic Association, whatever their initials are, voted recently in the last week to go ahead with fall sports full blow.
That doesn't surprise me.
Michigan today, the state of Michigan. Full blow, we're going for it. Obviously, right now, Minnesota is thinking the same thing. They're thinking August 17th, volleyball, football, swimming practices will all start here in International Falls. And cross country, I almost forgot. And they'll be thinking about doing those things. Obviously, in the next 10 to 15 days, we're going to find out whether we're going to have school. And once we find out about school, we'll find out about sports because...
and also we got a governor that probably loves football more than we do. And so this is something that he is going to weigh very, very carefully.
Well, and you probably saw, and I don't think I could even list because I didn't write them down, but I don't even think I could list the number of conferences this week that delayed the other sports other than football. Surprisingly enough, the one that we think is the most dangerous is the one, obviously, that also makes the most money. That isn't getting shut down, but they're backing up the seasons, and certain conferences now have the Colonial Athletic. I saw just before I came out here on ESPN. They said all the fall sports are closed down. Their conference season is closed down. And if the schools want to go find an independent schedule, they can go do an independent schedule. But the conference is not going to sponsor any games. And I'm kind of like, well, that's totally different of what the Big Ten and the Pac-12 said in the last week, or last 10 days, that we are going to stay within the conference. So it's very confusing time. And somebody said about the NCAA, why hasn't Mark Emmert and the NCAA made a statement? You probably have it somewhere written down, probably word for word.
I do. I've got some of it down here.
I will, if you can find it, I'll let you say it pretty much verbatim.
Well, it says he said, virus uptick is the biggest threat to fall sports, and right now things don't look too good. Mark Emmert, president of the NCAA, if there is to be sports in the fall, we need to get a much better handle on the pandemic, which in my mind means testing. And if they were able to get a test like that, I take my blood test or anything like that, boom, you get the results. That's one thing. You can't wait 6-7 days.
Can't wait that amount of time. And I think with the numbers the way they are in some of the states right now, that's also driving what he's saying, because 71,000 new cases yesterday. This is Friday. I think it was Thursday or into this morning. 71,000 new cases. That's a crazy number.
Well, Florida, Texas, and California. How many football teams are in that?
How many football? Yeah, and and I think we mentioned this last week. How are you going to keep 20-year-olds from going out and seeing their buddies?
Well,
it's kind of tough. I know what people are going to say, but we also know how kids are. right?
College is a contact sport. Period. No matter which way you look at it. Okay, listen.
Where you want to go next?
Should we talk a little football?
Sure, we can talk lots of football. Yeah.
Oh wait, I'd like to start at Washington, but where do you start?
It was a bad week for the Washington NFL organization.
Yes,
it was a tough week.
It was a tough week, and the way the reports have been, a lot of times, you pull the plug and the dam just breaks, and I think that this is just the beginning of this story. I think the NFL is probably going to have to do something fairly drastic before they're done. This one just isn't going to go away.
How drastic are you talking? Because I think we mentioned this before, but I want to see how.
I think they might have to take the franchise away.
Wow. That drastic.
I don't think Snyder can get away with this with clean hands. They've had to know about this. This has been going on for a long, long time.
Interesting. And I didn't think they would. I wasn't thinking that far, because I was thinking, well, are they talking that they might remove draft picks, some other type of thing? But you're thinking
I don't think draft picks are
away from Snyder.
I don't think draft picks are going to cut it on this one.
Well, what are you going to do with the New England Patriots then? Because that's where I'm going with this.
Well,
they keep cheating over and over again. And I'm not comparing sexual abuse and all this other stuff. Don't get me wrong, people. But the New England Patriots have been over and over again, and we just keep going, oh, we'll take a draft pick away from them and fine them $1 million. Well, that's like me taking a 20 out of my pocket and tell me that whatever. It doesn't work.
It doesn't work.
I think that might be a little drastic, because Snyder is basically saying he's innocent. He was not aware of it.
Yes, I know.
So, yeah, we'll see.
We'll see.
We'll see. It'll be. He said whatever the independent council comes up with that they are bringing in, whatever they say they're going to do. Well, that could be pretty drastic.
It can.
It could be pretty drastic. So.
Well, I heard a lady who was a big-time Kansas City Chiefs fan, and she was talking about after Patrick got his raise, he says, she's smiling and she says, you know what this does? What? This really puts the pressure on Jerry Jones. And so he and Dak Prescott did not get a contract. So this is the term that I had to spend some time with, the franchise tag.
Sure.
Now, a franchise tag, and correct me if I'm wrong, is good for 1 or 2 years, and you get a 1-year contract for a set amount and maybe a bonus to go with it, and the second year you might get a raise. So that's the franchise tag, and they don't have to worry about a long-term contract.
That's pretty much says it all, yeah.
Well, old Dak, he suffered taking 31-4 for this year and then becoming a free agent in 2021, which is going to open up a potential draft. Now, I got to spend a few minutes with this, because Prescott's numbers were excellent while he was playing. He made $2 million. He was still on his rookie contract. So he's going to go to 31-4. He got a raise. If he plays with the Cowboys for 2021, he gets $6 million more. Okay? Now, I'm taking a look at this just a little bit. And other contracts, Derrick Henry, my favorite running back from Tennessee, he secured a $50 million with a 25-5 guarantee. Good deal for both of these teams, I feel. Chris Jones, a defensive lineman from Kansas City, again, one of my favorite football players in the league, just amazing in there. He got an $85 million with $60 million guaranteed. All of this tells me one thing. There's some serious pay gaps in the NFL. Huh? And there's just like somewhere along the line, this is constantly going to come back to bite them. And I'll tell you, it's not just last year and the last couple of years with some of these really high mobile Michael Vick type athletes, and they're very good and they're very fast and they can throw and they can do all the rest of these things. But there's a long list of like I say, hotshot quarterbacks, and I don't remember quarterbacks being this mobile, this many.
Yeah.
no look passes, junk like this, okay? So now, I don't know if it's too early to talk about the 2021 draft, but here we go. This is what's going to fill this hole. Trevor Lawrence from Clemson, Justin Fields from Ohio State. Number 3 on this list, Trey Lance. Number 4, Kyle Trask from Florida. Jamie Newman is a grad transfer to Georgia. He's from Wake, I believe. Brock Purdy at Iowa State. Sam Erlinger and Tanner Morgan. Very few seniors. I think there's one senior in that whole list. And they're all going to go high. And I think Trevor Lawrence, he might go number 1 in the whole draft.
That's probably a foregone conclusion unless he gets hurt or something crazy happens.
My point is every one of these teams are going to be paying astronomical bills for their quarterbacks, and there's a whole bunch of them.
My question for you on Dak Prescott is this. The Cowboys played the game with him. Franchise tag, he wouldn't sign, etc., etc. $31.4 million is a big raise for him, is a big boat of money. He also has some pretty doggone good receivers, and as much as I dislike Ezekiel Elliott because, well, for whatever reasons you might want to guess on the folks, you can fill in the blank because I could get myself in a whole lot of trouble because even saying his name out loud made me angry. He's got a pretty good team around him.
He does.
So does he take the Pat Mahomes approach to it and say, okay, I'm not going to break the bank for me because I want to keep my boys, my Cowboys, happy?
Well, if he's smart, you're exactly right. He'll take this contract. He'll take his $6 million bump next year. The contract after that.
That's what I'm saying. Is he going to play it wise, or is he going to be whatever and say, well, I'm going to get out? Of course, I personally don't think they can keep everybody happy. I don't think there's not enough footballs in the state of Texas to keep all those guys happy, as far as I can see.
Well, like I say, Chris Jones, he's getting $85 million. I mean, between Chris Jones and Mahomes, that's almost $600 million in salary. It's that's
there's a lot of money out there.
A lot of money out there. I wish I would have been better. No, I don't mean that.
It makes you want to take your grandsons out and make them throw a football around, though, doesn't it?
It does, yes, with both hands.
Left-handed and right-handed.
Left hand, right.
Oh, no, we're talking golf. Gee, you can make a lot of money golfing, although I will say this. Bryson DeChambeau, yesterday, I don't know if you were watching this, but he hit a drive on whatever hole it was at the Memorial, and he hit it 400 with the roll now, 473, I think it went. Some crazy number. It went 357 or something, and it rolled like 100, whatever it was. It was a ginormous hit. And of course, you know, Bryson during the COVID, he went this way. He hit the weights and still is hitting the weights. He's ginormous.
He is.
He's hitting the ball. Well, today he got a quintuple bogey. He took a 10 on the par 5. He took a 10 on the par 5 and missed the cut.
Oh.
Dustin Johnson, you know who Dustin Johnson is?
I do.
He's pretty built. Yeah. He can hit the ball a bajillion miles. He took 2 triple bogeys and shot an 80 today at the Memorial,
so he
missed the cut. He shot plus 16.
Tiger was one behind the cut when I left.
When I left, he was on the cut.
On the cut?
He was on the cut. Plus 3 was going to be the cut.
Plus 3. He was at plus 3.
He was at plus 3. So
that was.
Maybe Pete will tell us that our producer will tell us that he made the cut.
He made the cut.
He's in. So
okay. Oh, good.
We'll have something to watch this. We'll have something to watch this weekend.
No, as long as we're here.
As long as we're here.
And I got a Tommy in front of me. College of St. Thomas will formally join Division I Summit League for most of its sports and Pioneer League for football and the WCHA for women's hockey.
I'm hoping that the CCHA will invite them in for men's hockey. That's what the hope is.
Is that what the hope is?
That's what the hope is.
Okay.
My question to you on that statement, George, is I'm not surprised that they got to make the jump. The NCAA would have been a fool to not allow them to make the jump. They've got plenty of money, I think, to go do the fundraising. The interesting part about that is the Pioneer League for football is a non-scholarship Division I FCS.
The whole division, the whole
their whole conference is non-scholarship. So that saves them millions of dollars in fundraising.
I was wondering if you don't have if you're not giving away scholarships, it's tough to keep Division I football players down on the farm.
It is. And so, yeah, they were talking that San Diego and some of these road trips that they've got to play in. And so this isn't for this, obviously, for this upcoming season, but the start of 21-22 season, if we have sports by then, we'll see St. Thomas there. And it's going to be interesting to see two Division I schools that are 4 miles apart, 3 miles apart, whatever they are, geographically. It'll be interesting to see how they... how things play out, how recruiting goes, and not that the Gophers have necessarily gotten a lot of Minnesota recruits in a number of sports. They've missed out on a lot of great players. The list is very long that have gone to Wisconsin and Iowa's and wherever else.
Don't we know that?
All the sports. So how does that change, and how does it change, especially for football, with St. Thomas not being a scholarship school? Because that probably leads you into kids that maybe our JUCOs.
I think St. Thomas is in this situation because they were extraordinarily successsul developing program.
Oh,
and they came money. They went in. I'm not sure that when they were done, they created just a bit of a monster that's hard to ride. But that was very much their intention. I'm not sure it was to go to D1. And to get tossed out of the MIAC, but at that point in time, it's almost irrelevant. Now, the key is they're going to play St. John's this year for the last year or so.
Well, they get to play in the spring because the MIAC closed it down for the fall.
Well,
if that game's going to get played, it's going to get played in May possibly.
In May, I'd go.
I would like to be.
Oh, I'd watch a football game.
That goes without saying. It's a pretty big deal. They talked about that they're going to be, for the Pioneer League, they're going to be playing games in New York and San Diego. Now all of a sudden you get your name out there. Their alumni are in those areas. Now all of a sudden you start recruiting those areas. And so it's going to be an interesting dynamic. It's going to be fun to see what they can do. I know the women's hockey is going to be able to keep their arena, but the men's is going to either have to build one or come up with some other plan to be able to play in the CCHA. And they talked about, the football stadium, and for the life of me, help me out, what's the name of the stadium? Shaughnessy?
O'Shaughnessy?
O'Shaughnessy Stadium. Am I getting that right? Boy, where did I pull that up? I played a state championship community college football game at St. Thomas back in 1988. So I remember Shaughnessy Stadium. Anyway,
I sat on the bench when UMD played them there. It was a great time.
So having said all that, somebody said, well, it's a nice Division III football stadium, but it's really not a Division I stadium. So how are they going to work that out? What are they going to do to be able to play Division I games? And are they going to have to build a stadium and other things? So
they got that soccer stadium over there, and there's other ways that they might be able to work this out.
Might be interested in allowing them to play there with the soccer stadium. That's 25,000 or so. Who knows? Maybe U.S. Bank might be willing to say you could play here on Saturdays.
Maybe the U of M will say you go ahead, use our stadium
and play on Fridays.
Yeah.
No. Anyway, we don't see that happening.
No, we don't.
So.
No.
That's the good football stuff there. The NJCAA this week announced all their fall sports canceled. Move them to the spring, so we might see community college football in the spring.
Okay.
Like I said, we could go through all the other leagues that have shut down. Are you happy? We kind of skipped over a couple things. Buxton's foot.
Yeah, that's Buxton's foot going to be all right now?
Well, he says he's going to be there for opening day. He's not missing it. Sounds like a foot sprain.
I watched him haul him off.
I don't know. He's just a disaster waiting to
he's had his share.
The Loons.
Yeah,
did you watch
I know they're down
United?
In Florida.
Down in Florida,
they're playing.
Well, they played last Sunday night. I don't know. I didn't get a chance to watch it till the very end, but they were playing Kansas City, Sporting Kansas City, and the goaltender for Sporting Kansas City got a red card. That means you're out. That means you got to play a man short. Well, the Loons were able to get into extra time into
What do you
stoppage time.
put out your spare goaltender there, or what do they do?
Brought out their spare goaltender. They scored in the 92nd minute on an own goal off of Kansas City's guy. He hit it into his own net, and then they got a beauty in the 97th minute with like a minute left to play, and put one by the backup goaltender to win. So they got Real Salt Lake City tonight, 9:30. I don't think there's any way I'll be able to stay up that late and watch it after being out on the lake today.
Fresh air poisoning, yeah. I'll tell you what, but those Loons, they had a great ending last year. They have a good team. They've added a couple of kids to it. If you know, for soccer fans, they would really love to have this
and
guy.
I know they got a couple of their horses out tonight for the match, but like I said, it starts at 9:30. It won't be quite as warm down in Florida. Playing at 10:30 Eastern time.
Yeah.
It won't be so bad. I want to talk about the Wild for a minute because they had a big week this week.
They picked up a Russian.
They finally got Kirill Kaprizov signed to a contract. Unfortunately,
He can't play.
he can't play this year. The Jack Wagons. That's my best. What I can do. For,
Jack Wagon. I'm going to keep that. Mind if I use that?
Yeah, you go ahead and use Jack Wagon anytime because the NHL for some reason wanted to keep the teams the same, but they're not the same. So, I mean, if a guy had come off if UMD had won the national championship and they had a guy who wanted to go sign, he could go play immediately.
Yeah.
Right into the playoffs. But you can't do this now. So anyway, they got him to come in. They drafted him 5 years ago, and
Yes,
they've
it was
been
a long
waiting for him
time.
to come in. I thought they signed him for a song. Very good, very nice contract for the Wild to get him to come in and play. He's excited as heck to be here to play, which is great. They also got Dean Evison to be the head coach. They took the interim tag away. The players seem to be very, very happy with that decision. So that's a good sign going into the playoffs. And the Wild are going to be in Edmonton, provided Edmonton gets their arena unflooded.
Their arena flooded, yeah.
So anyway, they're supposed to play Vancouver on Sunday, August 2nd. And I think it's a 9:30 game our time.
Oh so my, have to watch that.
Yeah, we'll have to find a way to make it through. So good news there that hopefully the hockey thing will also happen. Like I said, the Twins are coming. And of course the NBA starts here in a couple of weeks, and the WNBA also gets started here in the next weeks.
Oh, speaking of the NBA, the bubble.
The bubble.
The bubble's not containing a real well. There's people skipping out the bubble and it gets to be an issue. That's going to be an issue.
Your boy Zion Williamson.
He left. Yeah,
he had to leave. Something going on.
Yeah, a medical problem. I think his lawyer got sick. I guess it would have been really nice to see him play 4 years at Duke, walk out with a degree, and go on to become a miracle man. They
were talking the other morning on ESPN about how much different the Pelicans were when he was on the floor versus when he wasn't on the floor, and the difference is staggering.
It is.
It is absolutely staggering, the numbers that when he came to the team and when he's on the floor and not on the floor, how different things are. So we all knew Zion Williamson was a man-child. We'll see what happens there. What else? Travis Blaze. I want to talk a little locals if I can.
Sure, absolutely.
Travis Blaze was down at the Cloquet Invitational. And, for many years, the Cloquet and the Smokey Bear competed on the same weekend. Smokey Bear moved to a couple weeks earlier last year, and then they're still thinking about maybe having the Smokey maybe in September if they think they can pull it off. Anyway, Travis Blaze went down and took second place. A couple shots off the winner, Alex Colquist. So congratulations to Travis. And I also heard that Travis got to witness a hole-in-one.
By who?
Yesterday, by none other than Mike Bolstead.
Way to go, Mike. Didn't know you had it in you.
I had texted Mike a picture of him playing hockey back when he was a freshman in high school. And about 10 minutes later, he texted me and said, "You're not going to believe it, I just got a hole-in-one."
No, but you should had that picture, and the hole was about that big around.
Yeah, there you go.
Just like, I'm real happy for Mike. I'm sure he was giggling and laughing about that all night.
I'm sure he had a great time with that one. Of course, that means you got to go in and buy.
I understand. I don't understand. My 10-year-old grandson had a hole-in-one, but they didn't make him buy.
Did he buy?
No, I didn't buy.
That's bad sportsmanship. Anyway, The 19. Anyway, congratulations, Travis. Nice showing down at Cloquet. I think that's the first time Travis has ever played in the Cloquet Invite. So he may have played there last year because of the different weekends. But good job, Travis. The 19U baseball team last weekend went up to Ely, went 2-2 in the tournament, and then swept Eveleth, who had come back and beat them a couple of weeks ago in a game. They ended up beating them twice down at Eveleth on Tuesday. So good show there.
Did they play last night, or are they playing tonight?
They are playing tonight. They are in Aurora tonight.
Okay.
Matter of fact, they should be about a couple innings in. I'm sure I'm getting updates on my phone as we speak. But so that's going to be interesting. The playoffs are going to get started here real soon. And I know Virginia, their youth baseball and softball had to shut down because they had a player come down with COVID, younger levels. So it's out there. It's still a thing that we got to be worried about. What else did I have down here? Oh, the UMB hockey, men's hockey. They were going to host the Icebreaker tournament early in October with Mankato State. I still call Mankato State, Minnesota Mankato. The Gophers and Providence.
Ooh.
And because of the intertwining of the leagues, they shut that tournament down. The Minnesota State High School League met this week and had a discussion on how they were going to do sports and getting the protocols in place. And of course, they're waiting for the governor and the Department of Ed to decide if school is going to be in person or not in person, because if school's not going to be in person, there's not going to be sports. I'm pretty sure that would be the call.
Well, as a math teacher, what would you like to see? Just in terms of your professional...
well, of course, I'd love to put the kids back in the room. That is the way things are meant to be. But with the numbers, what Emmert said about the NCAA getting the pandemic under control, I can't see how we're going to be in school, even on a modified or a hybrid version. That's the fancy name they're using. I'm doubtful on that. Although I see kids everywhere around town, whatever else, and they're buddying up and they're doing the things. So I know the football team is starting their summer practices on Monday. We're kind of going into it to try to keep the kids
focused a little bit.
A focus on what could come, but we're also, trying to say, okay, guys, at practice, we got to be careful so that we're not spitting on the ground. We're not, there's things that you should be trying to take care of. So it's going to be an interesting thing, but that all comes up, and we'll see what happens. Did you know, I think you knew that Hermantown was getting new turf. Did you know that they're getting artificial turf on their football field?
No, I did not know that, but that's
Do you know who else is?
Who else?
Grand Rapids.
Well, why not? What does that mean?
Well, that means there's more places to go host playoff games.
There is.
So now all of a sudden, Mountain Iron Buell put their field in. Obviously, the Broncos played there last fall. But all these schools that have soccer, Hermantown, Grand Rapids included in this, you've got JVs, you've got 10th grade teams, you've got 9th grade teams. Where do you go play these games? Well, you only have so many places, and then you have boys and girls soccer in the fall. And so these schools made the right decisions, and they'll both have artificial turf. And again, that will open up for them to be hosting other games during the weeks. And of course, Mesabi East just got their artificial turf put in. They also have artificial turf for baseball and softball that they are going to have in place. So there'll be those options. And so a lot of these places are going to be in. And I assume that when Rock Ridge, Virginia, and Eveleth, Gilbert, when they all combine together,
be natural turf.
They will also have artificial turf as well, because they'll have the same issues and everything else. So it's coming to be a prevalent thing, even here in northern Minnesota. I shudder to think of the day that Sports Stadium would have artificial turf. I don't think it'll ever happen, because we don't have soccer, and it just doesn't seem, even though I know that.
And actually, it's a fantastic turf field.
It is.
And it's but I'll tell you what, you see these school districts make an investment, and sometimes it's a little staggering, the cost. But like you say, in the big picture,
no mowing, no going out and lining the field every week. You don't have to put the paint down or buy the whatever. You just go out and sweep it back into place a little bit, and then everything's ready to go. And you don't have to worry about draining, or well, you do have to worry about draining the water underneath it, but you don't have to worry about it getting muddy and whatever else. And it just it's the wave of the future. You're going to see more and more of it. I mean, Grand Rapids baseball, to me, why would they even screw around? That's the next thing that's going to happen. They'll have an artificial turf field, and they'll move on. So,
things are changing. Well, yeah, I did, but I'm not even sure I'm going to bring it up. It has to do with. Don't bring it up.
I know.
Johnny Benson, the late the grandson of the late John Gagliardi, was accused but not charged with a sexual assault of one of his players. The family went berserk. He got fired. He lost his job, and he's sitting there wondering, after having a very successful coaching. This was in Kimball, and there's a lot of people wondering if he didn't kind of get tossed under the bus here. And it was all over the papers today. And after reading about it, you just thought, you can see how this stuff happens. A parent gets upset because maybe his kid gets replaced off the starting lineup. They start squawking about this. They start squawking about that. I mean, as a wrestling coach, you have no idea how many massages I give to healthy, strong guys that were all beat up. But this is part of the deal, and I kind of felt bad for him.
Yeah, I hear you. It sounded like they're, like I said, we weren't there. It's tough to say what happened. I sure hope nothing did happen, and I just hope that somehow, some way, he'll get another chance. Sound like he was doing a heck of a job with the football team, having them break a 42-game losing streak, and everything else. And hopefully, like I said, someplace he'll find a teaching job, and somebody will give him a second chance. And if that's what you want to call it, then, like I said, not because he's Gagliardi's grandson, but because it sounded like he had things going in the right direction. And if something is wrong there, I hope that
they're able to straighten it out.
They're able to straighten it out.
Yeah.
So, what's on the shirt here today?
Okay, now this is Baseball de Mexico, the Tigres, and I'm wearing this for my favorite golfer, Tiger. So this is the Mexico Tigres from 1955, and I don't know. You see how they say baseball?
Baseball.
Been very, very good to them. Baseball been very, very good.
Yes, it has.
So yeah, this is for Tiger. Go Tiger. Let's pick up those things. Drop nothing but 2s and 3s tomorrow.
Yeah, well, like I said, that would make it exciting. I like seeing Tony Finau, who's in the lead, -9. Tony can get out there and knock it around a little bit. And
besides, youngsters are coming up in that league, and they're very, very talented.
And a lot of kids that have Minnesota connections have been playing very, very well. Whether they're from Minnesota or
they're used to winter rules. That's all.
Well, yeah, we don't want to see them do anything wrong and get their get penalized like that. Although the new rules with golf, man, you can do so many things. You can whip.
Yeah, you can.
And it doesn't count, and you can knock the ball off the tee.
When you got club heads this big around, I don't know how you whiff anyway, but
those guys don't whiff.
So let me ask you, so Monday football starts, so Monday morning, then I assume you're going to be at the school.
No, we are practicing in the evening.
Oh, okay.
7 o'clock till about 8:30 in the evening. So we'll have 4 practices next week, 3 the following week, and then 4 the first week in August. We get to be able to have 11 practices, and some will be only in helmets, some will be in helmets and shoulder pads.
Is Bemidji having their camp?
The Bemidji has canceled their camp, which didn't surprise me.
No, it doesn't either.
And everything else. So we'll have 11 practices out at the stadium, and we'll work it around baseball games and everything else. And we're hoping that we're going to get some kids to show up that haven't played in the past. We've been working on some kids to hopefully do that. So if you're watching the show and you've got a nephew or a son or whatever, have them come out and give it a try. We start August 17th. God willing that everything goes that way. Do want to take this opportunity, as long as you brought up the football, to thank everybody who came out to the car wash.
Oh,
and
nice.
The burgers.
Nice turnout.
Good turnout, good fundraiser. A lot of people were very pleased to come out and have their car partially washed.
That's okay. The Bronco Burger is still the best cheeseburger around.
I'll say it this way: at $20 to get your car kind of washed, and that burger, it was worth it.
Yeah,
it was worth it. We've gotten lazy, in this modern time. Boys, they didn't understand how to wash a car.
Oh no, they run it through the machine.
Everybody drives it through the machine. They don't understand that you need to start at the top and work your way down all the way to the bottom. Don't let the water just drizzle to the bottom. You got to You got to go all from the top to the bottom. They were having a tough time with that thought. But
were your arms a little tired at the end of the night, slopping those big buckets around? You threw a lot of buckets.
I threw a lot of buckets. My arms weren't sore, but I've been having some major back spasms over the last couple of days.
I'll bet you have.
Knocked me out of golfing yesterday. I couldn't even go up because I could hardly walk down the stairs yesterday morning. So a little too much activity for an old guy.
What I saw there was a whole bunch of enthusiasm, and I thought the kids were there. The coach, everybody's got a smile on their face. These kids they've been locked up for a long time. They like their buddies. They like their activities.
Well, here's the better thing. Last night the coaches got together to get pads and moved out so that we're ready for practice on Monday, and the players start showing up, not to help us, to go out and play 7-on-7.
Yeah.
They had almost 20 kids out on the field. A few of them are graduated, but there was probably 14 or 15 kids out there that are going to be on this year's team that were there, that showed up after work in the evening. They enjoy being with each other, and that is a good sign when the kids want to be with each other and be together and go play, because that makes.
This is a big difference than it was 3 or 4 years ago, as you well remember. And this is and this team over the last couple of years has started to solidify and started taking care of each other and started getting good senior leadership. And they had that. It's. I'll tell you what. I'm real proud to know these kids are good kids.
Young kids that have come up are making a difference. And like I said, we need to see some more of those young guys keep coming out and stick with it, mainly because you want to see them have JV games.
Yes.
Because that's the only way they get a chance to play, and if you don't have enough kids, you don't get to do that. So get those kids out and play football and or all of whatever sport it is, folks. I mean, I love football. You know, George and I do. But get them out doing whatever it is, whether it's swimming, cross country, whatever it is, volleyball. Get them out.
Get them to do something. Yes.
Get them out there and do something. And some kids don't enjoy the sports, but make sure they get a chance to go out and experience it and do that.
The one that was the happiest when football started wasn't me; it was my mother. And and she'd have, like I say, what was she smiling? Because she knew Dan Malley was about to kick my butt, and she was all for that. So this was kind of the way it was in the old days. But boy, we sure had fun. And we've talked about this. How would it be if we weren't able to play our senior year? And at the time, we could have thought of nothing worse. And so, it'd be nice if they were able to swing this.
And I guess I'll say this to you, George, because and I'm not dissing any other years.
Yeah.
But you guys back in the 60s obviously had some great success hockey teams. But the way you guys still hang out and talk about these were your friends 50, 60 years ago,
and still are,
and they still are.
Yeah.
That to me is what impresses me.
Oh, it is, and you make so many friends in sports that, and you don't know that while you're playing it. Like hey, Dale Johnson, 50 years from now, you're going to be a very good friend of mine.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and go to the Big Ten championship game.
Oh yes, oh yes.
Anything else?
I really don't think so. I'm still tickled pink about the 2 triple plays 30 years ago, and it seemed like just yesterday. And the picture of Kent Herbeck was much thinner.
He was a much thinner Kent Herbeck at that time. Say, folks, we are out here at the Rainier Muni. We usually do this on Friday. I know next week I'm going to have football practice on Friday, so we're probably going to have to shoot for Thursday. So Thursday afternoon, maybe 5 o'clock-ish, if you're not doing anything and you want to come out and watch us live, or just sit around and boo at us or whatever, you're welcome to come out about 5 o'clock on Thursday the 23rd and come on out and join us.
And he knows that we always put our mask on in public except for this. We want to make sure you recognize us. But wear that mask, stay healthy, stay cool.
Thanks, everybody.